I'm Sharon Johal and I play Dipi Rebecchi on Neighbours, as you might know. We've got a question from Tyler who says, who is your favourite person to work with? This is a very difficult question because it can get me into a lot of trouble, but I will say my family. So that's Scarlett, that's Olivia, and that's Varney, and also Nick, probably because we spend so much time together and we really know each other inside and out, and we kind of know how we all operate and we just have a lot of fun. But outside of our family, I love working with Ryan Maloney, who plays Toadie Rebecchi, because he is hilarious. He's a laugh a minute, as is Alan Fletcher, who's so funny, and also Jackie. So yeah, they're my favourite people to work with. From Melissa, hi Sharon, if you had a fish name like the rest of the Rebecchi clan, who would it be? Dipi's kind of loud and vibrant, and she's got a lot of personality, and she's obsessed with Broadway. So I reckon she would be, oh, we've already got clownfish, don't I? Because I was going to say clown because it's like loud and big and all of that. Maybe starfish. How about that? Because Dipi's a star and she likes to see herself as a bit of a star, and yeah, starfish. That's a good one. Good question, Melissa. Natasha asks, who is the naughtiest and forgetful of their lines on set? You guys just ask the best questions and the hardest for me, because obviously I'll have to work with these people. So I have to come to work tomorrow and they're going to be like, you put me in the naughty bin for doing that. But outside of my family, I would say we're pretty much all on par within the fam. But outside of that, I'm sorry, Travis Burns, maybe, he kind of forgets his words a little bit in the scenes that we've had together. Yeah, I mean, in terms of naughtiest, that's not about lines, just being naughty generally. I probably play the most pranks in our family just because I like to have fun and I like to make the day really eventful and enjoyable for everybody. So people would probably say that I'm the naughtiest. Abby, what's next for Dipi in terms of her career? This is a really good question. Because as Sharon, when I approach this role, so I'm very different to Dipi in real life. I'm not a mum. I'm a lot younger than the character that I portray. And it was kind of a bit of a transition coming into this mum role where pretty much my whole life is about my husband and my children. And then, yeah, okay, of course I work at Harold's Cafe, but maybe that's what happens when you become a mum. You do, they're your priorities. So I really wanted to make sure Dipi had a lot of layers in terms of her dreams and her career and ambitions and so forth. And, you know, the writers, I think, were on the same page with that as well. So coming up career-wise, I can give you hints. You've already seen a little bit of it in her personality, but it's got to do with singing and dancing. And I don't think that's a spoiler coming up. I can't tell you if the singing or dancing is bad. I can tell you in real life that my singing is horrendous, but I enjoy it. So, you know, whatever, do what you enjoy. And dancing, so yeah, something along those lines without giving too much away. Kiri, what were your first thoughts when you got cast for Neighbours? Wow, that's a loaded question as well. So, like, I've been trying to get, I suppose, this big break for a really, really long time, me as Sharon, and been working really hard to get to this point. I kind of gave up a little bit last year because I thought it wasn't going to happen for me. I was working as a lawyer at the time, and then I thought, you know what, I've just got to dedicate my whole life to this because it may not happen. And then Bob your uncle, the minute I forgot about it, I got the audition coming through for this role. And initially I auditioned for the role of Mishti, because Mishti was a little bit older and Dipi was a bit older again. And then they called me back for Dipi. And so when I got the phone call saying, so we had I mean, to just explain to you what the audition process is like, it's quite full on. So you come in first and then you're with a bunch of other people that I suppose could be you, and then you kind of like go with different husbands. So I had like, I remember the first audition I had was like 50 different husbands in the room, and I was like, oh my God, some were like really short and some were like, because I'm quite tall in real life, I was like, I don't know how this is gonna work. And some were a lot older and whatever. And in the end, the one guy I didn't actually audition with in the first audition, Nick Coughlin, ended up being my husband. So I suppose the casting people knew what they were looking for and were like, no, they should work, and thankfully it did. But when I got my phone call, I remember I was walking up the stairs to my old workplace, and you know, like when you're in a job that, you know, you're good at and you put your all into, but it's not your passion, you get the phone call that you get your dream job. I couldn't even scream. Like my agent was like, yep, you better be sitting down for this. And I'm like, well, I'm going up the stairs, but what is it? Like just thinking that I wasn't gonna get the role. And they're like, you got the role and you're gonna start within a month. And I just had no words. And that's really rare for me as Sharon. They were like, are you there? Are you still there? And I'm getting a bit teary about it now, but I had a little bit of a cry, and then it was like a massive sense of relief. And then from that minute, my life changed, because working on Neighbours with this amazing cast, crew and whatnot was just the ultimate dream for me. What did you do before Neighbours? So I came from just a bit of background, because we're, you know, having this informal, you know, one-on-one chat. I grew up in the country in a very remote rural town whereby this, like, acting was never even on your radar. Like, no one would ever think that from that small country town, and you know, we're in a school where most year 12s kind of pull out towards the end of it, that this could happen. So I kind of squashed down that dream at that point for being an actor, and got into university, studied law and commerce, and tried to do the professional thing. My parents wanted me to do it as well, and got a degree, and was working as a commercial lawyer, litigation lawyer, because I thought that was closest to acting. And also had a guaranteed income, I suppose. And that was what I was doing, but I was always auditioning, so I had little guesties here and there, and diversity wasn't a huge thing when I was kind of up and coming and doing my thing, so the opportunities weren't really there for regular roles for people of ethnic descent or Indian descent like me. But then, yeah, this job came along and it happened. Lauren says, is there anything shady happening between your husband and sister on screen? Well, it seems so. I can't tell you, because I can't give you the spoiler. I wish I could, but I can't tell you exactly what it is, but yes, there is something shady happening. Whether that means it's an act of shadiness or if it's just the mere act of lying to me about it, which is a little bit of a hint, they are not being forthright with me, which is hurtful, obviously, because, you know, I've been married to my guy for many years, and that's my sister. And they haven't told me what's going on. So yes, there is. It might not be what you think though. So always expect the unexpected. Tracy says, how do you get past the giggles when having to play a serious part? Oh my God, this is the hardest thing ever. Like even today, I had a scene with Scarlett. And you know, like at the end of a scene, as you probably know, the scene always ends on someone, all right? And then it's usually in the big print on the script, it says, it ends on Dipi being circumspect or being nervous or whatever the situation, but the camera literally stays on you for a lot longer than what you guys see on TV, so it's kind of really bold and the beautiful, like it would just be on your face, but you can't hold that same emotion for that period of time without like kind of coming out of character and laughing at yourself. So she dropped a bombshell in the scene, and I'm supposed to be like, really? Oh. And then you do all these ones and it just looks ridiculous. Then we giggle at each other. I don't know how to get past the giggles, because the problem is once you start, someone else starts, and even if they're not making the sound, you can see their body kind of shaking on the side, like having giggle, then you laugh as well. It happened yesterday as well in a serious scene. I suppose you just shake it out, and sometimes the director telling us off is a good way to stop the giggles, because you don't want to get fired. So yeah. Paul said, do you think your character will be chased after by Paul at some point? Well, I hope not, because I don't want to be another notch on Paul's belt either. Seriously, he's gotten like every beautiful woman that's ever come into Erinsborough into Ramsay Street. He's gotten, and I don't know what it is about him, but there must be some allure, some charm. I don't know. It's not foreseeable in my future, but again, you never know what could happen. I don't see anybody kind of taking me away from the beautiful man that is my Shane Rebecchi, my husband that wears his flannelette shirts, who makes all of these genius inventions that don't work out, but such a good bloke. I can't really see myself, like looking away from him. I've only got eyes for him. So yeah, I hope not. Please, now that you've said it, I hope the writers aren't listening and going, yeah, maybe we should. He's already got something going on at the moment, so keep tuned for that. Hi, do you ever get nervous? This is from Sandy. Yes, I do. I got nervous before I started this thing today because I wasn't sure. Like, I'm really good at kind of just rambling and being myself or whatever, because it's just my personality, but like lines and stuff at the start when I first started. Literally, we'd spent no time together with our family and we'll bang in. I needed to show that I had a big, long, strong history with my husband, who I'd never really met before that moment, and with the kids and whatnot. And I was nervous about that. On top of that, getting all the words done verbatim, it was quite stressful. But I'm a big, terrible advice, but I'm gonna give it to you anyway. I'm a big fan of fake it till you make it. So even if you are really nervous, sometimes if you kind of play into that, it makes you more nervous, and everyone's kind of asking, are you okay, are you okay? And it actually makes it worse. So I just rock in with a big smile on my face and kind of do the job. Before I know it, I've set into the character and I'm doing what I need to do. I don't get nervous now with the scenes that I'm doing because I really know Dipi as a character, but initially at the start I did, and I definitely got nervous before I had my first on-screen kiss with Nick. Now if he's watching, he's gonna laugh at me for this because I haven't even told him that. And I remember the scene was, I was in the kitchen at Harold's, and we're just being, I don't know how we are, flirty, lovey-dovey, whatever, and I was literally this far away from his face. And you know that when you're with a guy or your loved one or whoever you're with, and you're doing that look before you kiss, it's so awkward. It's this far away from eyes, and your eyes almost go cross-eyed because you're about to kiss. You know, if they're gonna kiss, it was like that. And I got so nervous and my upper lip was sweaty because that's what happened when I get nervous. And when I watched it back, it was so shiny. But we had to laugh about it because that's what happens. So yeah, I do get nervous. Rachel, are you a mum in real life? Rachel, sadly, I'm not. Sadly or not sadly, I don't know. I'm a lot younger than what I'm playing on screen. So really, I couldn't have kids that at that age, really. Probably be a bit of an impossibility, but I hope to in the future. Just got engaged last year, so that's I suppose one way onto having kids for me anyway. And actually was gonna get married at the end of last year, but then this job happened, and I'm planning on having, because I'm of Indian heritage as well, this massive, well, I don't know if I'm planning to or my parents are, whatever, this big wedding that's gonna take a long time to prepare for because it will be a week-long wedding. We had to put it off, because I need to pop it in when our holidays happen. So hopefully straight after that, I might try and get up stuff. Otherwise it would have happened before now if it wasn't for this. Leanne says, how much input do you have in the way your character is portrayed? Great question. The answer is not that much. The reason being is we've got, behind what you see on screen, you see these, 20-something minutes every day of us. There are departments upon departments and amazing people that work here who literally think about everything you see. So makeup. They'll think about Dipi Rebecchi and be like, what makeup would she wear? She's a mum, so she'd wear a browner lipstick or whatever. They literally put that much thought into everything. Her hair. So when I first started, my hair was literally down to my waist. This was kind of a sad story. Down to my waist, and I didn't know this was gonna happen either. And I rocked in and they were like, yep, so you're getting a haircut today. And I was like, okay, trim. And they're like, no, it's up to here because you're a mum and we need you to have a lob haircut and we don't want you to look too glamorous or like your sister Mishti. So I had that top model, what's that, America's Top Model, when they cut all their hair off and they get really emotional. That moment, but inside, because it was my first day of work and I didn't want to look like a diva or like I cared that much about my hair or was that vain, but I did, and they cut it off. So we don't really get a say in what we look like. Even outfits, like Dipi wears a lot more flowy clothes and a lot of caftans, a lot of Earth Mother, you know, clothes that are a bit, I suppose I would say, frumpy for my physique, because I don't dress like that. You know, I'm a bit more street. I wear a lot of streetwear and sneakers and whatnot, but when I'm glam, so tight bodycon dresses, because, you know, I'm a curvy girl and I like to flaunt what I have, I suppose. But, you know, I'm playing a character, I'm playing a role, so we don't really get a say in it, no. Bianca says, do you want to have a new baby on Neighbours in the future? Maybe. I know we did a Q&A and Shane was saying that he wants us to have more babies. Easy for him to say. But it would possibly work out if I really had a baby in real life. So yeah. Also, it would be amazing to experience that from an actor's perspective as well, being pregnant and giving birth and all of that, so I hope so. Rachel says favourite food and drink. This is a good question. So this is answering as Sharon. I love Mexican food. I'm obsessed with tacos. So my favorite food is a taco, a crunchy taco with a lot of jalapenos because I love my chili, and a lot of guac, like guac. I would live for guac. If I could have that every day for every meal, I would. And favorite drink. I don't really drink soft drinks, so it would be a wine and it would be a Pinot Noir. Sounds really classy, but I can assure you that I'm not. Yeah, a Pinot Noir, especially in this cold weather, a nice red is perfect. Donna says, how long does it take for you to get ready on set each day? Well, this is a long process, especially when you only have one scene on a day. So usually, like, it depends on the schedule. We might have 10 scenes in a day, I might have one. But literally, I'll tell you what happens. I think it's about an hour and a half, maybe, because we come in, we get changed into our wardrobe straight away, sit in the chair. Our hair gets done every single day, so it gets blow dried every single day. Hence why my hair condition is not so great. But they need to do that for continuity. So there's people in charge of continuity, so they want us to look as similar as we did to the last scenes, and that takes a lot of work. So they blow dry our hair, and for people that have got a lot of hair like me, that takes time. They do the makeup on the face, and that takes time as well. And then we get checks done just before we go onto the scene. So it is actually a long process. It's an hour and a half or thereabouts. But on a positive note, we get to really connect and bond with our amazing makeup artists who are fabulous. Shout out to you guys. Jess says, is the water in the pool cold or hot when filming? Now, I know about the pool because I had to have a little sexy scene with Shane a couple of weeks ago, which again was quite awkward, just so you know. But fine, it ended up being fine. It's warm, so it's cold at the moment, and everybody here does their ultimate best to treat us amazingly and make sure that we're as comfortable as possible. And they warm up that pool. So in our backyard, it's a warm pool. And it's actually warmer in the pool than it is outside. But when we are outside, crew make sure that they give us hot water bottles and Ugg boots. Like, we're stupidly spoilt to the point where you get home and it's like, is someone gonna give me some Ugg boots, or where's my coat, robe? So yeah, they do. The pool is warm. Susie says, what would be your dream role? Great question. I would absolutely love to play some sort of action hero, goddessy type role. Strong, independent woman, because that's kind of like my trail up to here. I've kind of been that person, and I would love to portray that, like the success of Wonder Woman, of having a female protagonist, a female director, and just killing it in sales and whatnot. Just shows that we want to see more films from women, and we want to see more films where women are protagonists and also written by women, because it's a different perspective. Like, you might not notice, but we have a bunch of different directors and writers as well that work on every episode, and I do think, I'm not saying it's a better perspective, it's a different perspective, and a really nice balance to be able to see through the lens of a woman. So yeah, that would be my dream role, something like that, where I kick some butt Rachel says, are there real customers coming in Harrods or the people backstage? So I think you're asking me if they're real customers, or if they're extras or other performers. And I don't want to shatter your illusions, but so we're not a real cafe. It's a set. So we're in a studio where we have the outside of it is outside, but then there's nothing behind that door. So when we do location scenes, those bright scenes, we're outside, and it's not a real cafe. And then the studio ones are inside. And I suppose that's because it would be really difficult and for a normal business to maintain it if we were in and out bothering them all the time filming scenes. So we have a bunch of amazing extras, and sometimes they come in regularly as well, who come in and like I've got in my cafe, it was like a running joke when I started. There were like 5 different employees that were there all the time that literally work more than Dipi does, who are like, oh, so who are you? And how long have you been working? And they've been working there longer than I have. So they'll have those same people, so you can keep an eye. It's generally the same people that are doing the work, serving, but the customers are different. So these extras, like it's another massive process where they come in with clothes and whatnot, they decide what they can wear if it clashes with other people, and then they hang around a lot and they come in, like they work really hard as well. So yeah, so not real customers, I'm sorry to say. Paul says, will more of your family come into Neighbours as time goes on, like cousins, etc.? When I first came to Erinsborough, I don't know if you remember, but I mentioned my son Jay, our son Jay. So Jay is at boarding school. The fact that we've mentioned him must mean that he might come along sooner or later. I don't actually know when he's coming in. That hasn't been told to us, but I'm sure in the future he'll be coming along. It will be a different dynamic as well because he's a boy and it's a son. I don't even know who he is yet. And that means that it will be a fuller household as well. But I don't know why he's gone to boarding school either. He might have done something naughty, we sent him away. All of that stuff will be to come, I'm sure. I think it would be really super cool if Mishti and my Dipi's mum and dad or someone came through. It'd be hilarious. The only problem with that is, ever since I started on Neighbours, my mum, my real life, Sharon's real life mum, has proclaimed that she is now an actress. So she will be really upset if she's not cast for that. And that might cause a few problems at home. So maybe it is better if our mum doesn't come onto the show. But it's really funny to see like where people come from, like what our parents would be like, because that's shaped who we are as human beings and characters on the show as well. So yeah, so just for now, I know definitely Jay will be there at some point. I don't know about anyone else. Jackie asks, has Dipi got any major storylines coming up? Yes, she does. She does. I mean, a lot of my stuff, fortunately or unfortunately, whatever, it's a reactive around what's happening in our family. I can definitely tell you something major is happening to a member of our family in the next few months, and it's huge, and it affects everybody, and it teaches us a lot, and we have to learn how to deal with this issue. So it's something that's going to affect us for life. So that's huge. Obviously, me as Dipi, like my role is just to keep my family together and protect them at all costs, you know. So that's difficult, just kind of managing everybody, all the family members in that. For me personally, thankfully, I get some fun stuff. I get to live out my dream a little bit coming in the future, to go back to a question that was asked at the start. And I get to kind of show off a little bit, which is great because mums have personalities as well. So Dipi will definitely show that. In terms of Shane and I, we have some funny stuff coming up. Some really funny stuff with some other major characters on the show, some stalwarts on the show. And I hope it makes you laugh because, you know, us as a family now, we are here to, you know, to bring that comfort into your lounge room, and all of us connecting together. I hope that you can relate to these big, busy families that have a lot going on but are so tight and are so there for each other, but are, you know, living the daily struggle of trying to build a family, trying to grow our kids to being amazing humans on an everyday basis. It doesn't need to be drama-filled. Like, it's just everyday stuff that happens as a family we need to be able to come in together and help each other out with. So there's more funny stuff coming up. I know we've had a little fluffy, funny storylines with the mower and all that stuff. So there'll be a bit more of that, but we've also got some really good interactions and friendships happening as well. Thanks for your time, guys. I hope you had a good one. Bye.
Hi there, I'm Gary Canning, or aka Damien Richardson, or I'm Damien Richardson, aka Gary Canning. I'm never exactly sure which one, but thanks for stopping by. And if you haven't already subscribed to our channel, do it now. We upload new videos every week. Go on.